it's Noctis. Subscribe to Vincent Valentine EX Turk channel.
Hello, my archfiends of chaos. This is your king, like Vincent Valentine EX Turk. Trying out a new hairstyle. I don't have goggles, so my cosplay bandana, cosplay bandana should work in this video. So I got the energy drink, I got the incense going. Let's dissect into this already. With no further ado. With no frills, just the analysis. Sorry, I stole that from Uber Hickory, I know. I watch him, so you go subscribe to him. That's where I get that line from. See, at least I credit my sources, though. People can't say I don't credit my sources. But anyways, besides crediting sources, let's talk about source material that you see right here. The completion of Final Fantasy XV. Now, if you're a fan of Final Fantasy, you should already be familiar with completions, a complete saga. Where yes, there's 15 games, but the regular 15 games don't go together. So it does for people who are just getting into it. But there's always a saga of the same number of games. Just like there was 3 Final Fantasy 13s. Just like there was 4 Final Fantasy 7s. Yes, even the mobile game does count. So let's dissect the Final Fantasy 15 completion. So the beginning would be in release wise. In release wise, Kingsglaive would have been the first. Kingsglaive and Brotherhood. But we're not going to be talking about release wise. We're going to be talking about something completely different. We're going to be talking about story-wise, or lore-wise, or whatever you want to call it, lore-wise, or a timeline. The first game in the timeline would be A King's Tale, because this is a tale that happened when King Regis was 30 years old. A younger King Regis traveling with his companions, Claris, which is Gladiolus' father, Cid, Cindy's father, the girl mechanic you see, her father, what else? And that one black guy now, Alticia, known as Wesker. Yeah, Wesker. That's his name, Wesker. No, don't mistake him for Resident Evil Wesker. He's a different Wesker, but nonetheless, those are all Regis's. Those are all of Regis's, teammates, brothers, whatever you want to call it, at the time. So this would have happened when Regis is journeying to get all the Astrals. And yes, the Niflheim Empire is still around, because by this time, the Niflheim Empire has killed the other 6 Astrals, as what I found out when Ignis talked about the reports. All the other 6 got killed. Now, it feels in the background, which again, episode Ignis will explain that when it comes out. But the Niflheim Empire killed these other Astrals while Regis was gathering Leviathan, Rama, and Titan. Because Regis only got Rama, Titan, and Leviathan. He might have gotten more, but I'm only going by the game's lore. So anything that happened in the game is what I consider canon. So that happened 30 years ago when Regis was taking his journey to become a King of Light. Now, we don't know if he passed or failed the test. I assume he passed the test because he grows old at an accelerated rate due to the fact that he depended on the old war way too much after he got it, which drained his life force, and that's why he's old. So, yes, Regis finishes his journey at the King's Tale, collects all the Astrals. Doesn't bring completely balance to the world because the Niflheim Empire and Arden is still around, but he doesn't. This is when he starts Noctis' journey. Now comes Kingsglaive. So, we're looking at a 65-year-old King Regis that already has his son Noctis being at the age of 20, and Noctis is sent out before the events of Kingsglaive happens. So when you know I'm sorry, I'm choking myself. But no, when Regis sends Noctis away to go to his wedding in Alticia with journey to Alticia to meet his wife Lunafreya, the events of Kingsglaive happens, meaning pretty much, if anything, this actually started in Versus 13, and the only way they can actually recap that in Final Fantasy 15, because Final Fantasy 15 was originally supposed to be a trilogy-based game, but Tabata didn't like the idea that Tetsuo and Normal had, so he was like, no, we're scrapping this now. So, because of that scrap right there, he divided the trilogy, and Kingsglaive was one of them. So, in Kingsglaive, everything like that happened in Versus 13 happened the same way. Both Idolus from the Emperor of the Niflheim Empire and King Regis from the Kingdom of Insomnia were to sign a peace treaty, and then Emperor Idolus betrays King Regis and pulls a gun out on him. Of course, it does kind of change the canon a little bit, because this time there's Nyx Ulrich. Nyx Ulrich never existed in Versus 13. So they intelligently divided the completion to make it canon and make it make sense, because the only new characters that were there were Nyx, which makes sense because Nyx protected King Regis, because Claris died against General Glocka. The only new characters that are introduced that were not in Versus 13 or the trailers was General Glocka, Nyx Ulrich, Libertas, Crow, Titus Drontatus, sorry. I'm bad with names, okay? Forgive me, I'm bad with names. So at that point, yes, everything happened like that. King Regis dies. Nyx Ulrich takes some of the king's power from the ring, even though it cost him his life. He takes a few of the power, gets stronger, defeats General Glocka, saves Titus Drontatus, which you can see my theory video below about that, how he saves Titus Drontatus, and they both die and go to the afterlife, and so does Nyx Ulrich. Now, Nyx Ulrich is not a Lucius Caelum, so he does not become one of the Knights of the Round. In fact, we don't even know what happens to him after, except for the fact that in the Final Fantasy 15 game, you can pick up his weapons after you defeat a Pyromancer, a level 85. So, after that, and now this goes into the timeline of Final Fantasy 15. So, Noctis reads a newspaper and finds out the Niflheim Empire has destroyed the Kingdom of Insomnia with his father dead. Noctis gets real pissed, like no other, and goes straight down the throat of the Niflheim Empire. So half the game spends Noctis going to each bases, taking down the Niflheim Empire, but also going through the same journey King Regis had, meaning that he went to go collect the Astrals and use their power. And he needed to use the power of the Astrals, because he was the one to be the true King of Light, who brings the end to the darkness that was descended. That darkness was Arden Izunia. Well, Arden Lucius Caelum. Because remember, Arden took the name Izunia after killing the man named Izunia, his older brother, because of his jealousy of him not becoming the true King of Light. So Noctis clears everything up. So pretty much, Noctis goes on the journey, collects all the Astrals, defeats the Niflheim Empire one by one. Even though it's in a more short and vague way, yes, Noctis defeats the Emperor Idolus in the Magitech Factory. Lunafreya dies. They go to, Chapter 13 begins. They go to the Magitech Factory. Noctis fights Idolus in a transformation state. Noctis fights Ravis in the transformation state. Both people are defeated, so there's no more Idolus or no more Ravis. Arden traps him in the crystal for 10 years, only to use Noctis, because he wanted Noctis to complete the ring so he can actually have the ring himself and become the King of Light. So he wanted to cheat getting the King's power by killing the current King of Light only when he developed the full power. So that's why Arden purposely helped him all throughout Final Fantasy 15. It was at the moment so he could take the ring for himself and ascend as the. But we don't know exactly that that's true. All we know about Arden is Lucius Kylium is he wants to get revenge on his family. So he planned Idolus to go after and kill Regis, and then he would take care of Noctis. But he was going to take care of Noctis after he manipulated and helped Noctis to get what he wanted. But this was bad for Arden because Bahamut was in the crystal. Bahamut gave his power and trained in the crystal stasis for 10 years in the alternate reality and came back with some new powers with the full power of the King's Ring and the full power of the King of Light's ring right into the ring. Now Noctis is 10 times stronger than Arden is. So the world's in darkness by the Star Scourge. The Star Scourge already affected everybody except for the survivors. The survivors moved to Lestalem. Noctis goes down to the kingdom of Insomnia and ends up facing Arden for the one final battle. And he beats Arden, of course. Of course, I wish this was a better boss fight, but I think they kind of cheated. They kind of made, no offense, I love Noctis, but Noctis could be a Mary Sue at times. I think they made Noctis too powerful because he beat Arden effortlessly when he unlocked his Arbinger weapons. And I guess it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's been 10 years. So, for spiritual energy, if you meditate for 10 years, of course you're going to be really, really strong. But sorry, allergies. But anyways, Noctis goes to defeat Arden. Arden loses, and then Noctis sacrifices himself to make sure the ring is destroyed. So that's why you see the end scene. But also the fact is, Bahamut promised him he could have the power to do anything he wants and rewrite the world he wanted to. So Noctis did. He got that power, knowing he had to trade his life. That's why he took the photo with him to fight Arden. So after he defeats Arden, the Star Scourge is over because here's the thing. In order for the Star Scourge to be over, the ring has to be destroyed because Arden has to be destroyed. Noctis destroys his physical body. But because he has the power to do anything he wants, he spawns himself and Luna Freya at the end. But they're both spirits in the Kingdom of Insomnia, sitting on a throne and married together. That's why you get that happy ending. But yes, Noctis is physically dead, but his soul goes to a much better place. And only because he had the power to do anything he wanted, because he doesn't turn into a knight around because it's completed. The journey of the kings are completed. The only journey that Bahamut wanted Lucius Kylium, or Eos wanted Lucius Kylium to do, was to defeat Arden and put the rest of, and Ifrit, and put it into the Star Scourge once and for all. And since Noctis did that, not only he has the power to change things, but he got a happy afterlife with Luna Freya as reward for defeating the biggest evil in the world of Eos, Arden Lucius Kylium. Hence why Arden disappears for good, and then Noctis is seen happily ever with Luna Freya, and that pretty much ends the Final Fantasy XV compilation, with Brotherhood being in the middle of actually